Inspiration often strikes in places built on foundational ancient visions. The ideas are raw and formless, but a concept isn't exactly a concept until you apply the discipline of the studio. You have to translate the light into structure. Before there was history, art history, or a universe to observe, there was an empty canvas. In art, an empty canvas isn't nothingness. It's a space of pure potential. It's a declaration that an intention is about to manifest. So, what does a modern creative director actually do? They don't personally sew the garments. They don't write the raw code. Think of someone like Demna taking over the luxury fashion house. Perhaps Steve Jobs, the pioneer of Apple.
An iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator.
Or Pharrell Williams orchestrating a multi-million-dollar rollout for Louis Vuitton. They sit above the chaos. They use their voice, their vision, and their authority to command the universe into existence through a creative brief. Welcome to God is Trying to Tell You Something. In this series, we're going to look at the text of the scripture through the lens of the ultimate discipline, creative direction. We aren't just reading ancient ink. We're studying the foundational composition of reality. When you study the high masters from Michelangelo to Rembrandt, you notice they never started with the details. They all start with a structural layout. In Genesis 1 and 2, we are watching the original curator sketch the underdrawn of existence. And the choices he makes on his canvas reveal about who he is and exactly what he intends for us. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was tuhu, va-vohu, which means without form and void. And darkness was over the face of the deep. In the language of modern creation, tohu or va-vuhu is a total creative chaos. It's a canvas covered in white noise. It's that terrifying, disorganized moment before a massive campaign begins. But watch what the divine creative director does. He doesn't destroy the darkness, he curates it. He speaks, "Let there be light." In art history, we call this Shia Oshkoro, the use of strong contrast between light and dark, to give subjects a sense of volume and three-dimensional reality. God introduces contrast. Why? Because without contrast, perception is impossible. Notice the rhythm of the first 5 days. This is pure curation. Curation is the art of choosing what belongs and establishing boundaries. It's what legendary graphic designers like Paula Scher do when they organize the visual chaos of a major institution into a distinct style guide. God is setting the corporate guidelines for reality. Day 2, he draws a line between the waters above and the waters below, establishing vertical space. Day 3, he pulls back the tides to reveal dry land, establishing composition and grounding. Days 4 and 5, he populates the canvas, placing the sun, moon, and living creatures into the infrastructure he just designed. He literally organizes the assets according to their kinds. You see, regular artists create things. A creative director builds an environment where he or she can curate and thrive. God was organizing chaos into this optimized system of beauty. But the master stroke, the focal point of the entire exhibition, was still hidden within the pencil. On the 6th day, the methodology shifts completely. For 5 days, God spoke. Speaking is a manifestation of raw power. It's a creative director issuing a high-level brief. But when it comes to humanity, The creative director steps out from behind the director's table, rolls up his sleeves, and gets his hands directly into the medium. Genesis 2 tells us he formed man from the dust of the ground. The Hebrew word is yaster, made into mold or squeezed like a master potter working clay. He shapes the anatomy, but it's still just a beautifully sculpted vessel. It has no life. Then, the ultimate intimacy occurs. The creator bends over this form, and from his own infinite, pitch black, mysterious essence, he breathes his own breath, the neshama, directly into the lungs of the dust. And look at the visual choice being made here on our canvas. Man is rendered into the exact same solid pitch black tone as the creator himself. The Imago Dei, the image of God. In art and brand design, when you use the exact same color palette for two distinct subjects, you're telling the viewer that they share the exact same substance, nature, and lineage. But a legendary creative director also knows when to delegate. God brings Adam into the studio, into the garden, and tasks him with naming the animals. God builds the infrastructure, but he lets humanity handle the copywriting and the asset tagging, if you want to call it. It's more of a collaborative masterpiece. Then God looks at the man and identifies a missing piece in the composition. It is not good for a man to be alone. He takes a rib from Adam's side and makes Eve, matching his silhouette perfectly. He places them in Eden. They are naked, completely unshamed by guilt, entirely exposed to the artist, and completely secure in their identity. So let's do a deep dive into the mind of a creative director. When God finishes creating, he looks at the canvas and calls it Tab Meod, very good. In Western thought, good means morally pure. But in ancient Hebrew context, good means functional. It means it works perfectly for its intended purpose. So, what was the purpose? It was communion. But notice a critical element of the design. In the exact center of this functional masterpiece, God places a perimeter, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. He commands them not to eat of it. But why would a loving creator put a restriction in such a perfect world? Well, it's because art cannot exist without limitations.
Then I have my sort of like 3% approach. Right now, I'm only interested in editing something 3% from its original form.
Think about Virgil Abloh's famous 3% rule, right? The philosophy that design framework only needs a tight, strict constraint to completely redefine an object. If a painter has infinite canvas or infinite time and absolutely no boundaries, they will never produce a masterpiece. Boundaries create meaning. But more importantly, love can't exist without a parameter. If Adam and Eve were forced to love God because there's no alternative choice, it isn't love. It's programming. It's just an automated code. By placing that tree in a garden, the original curator was saying, I'm giving you value. I'm giving you the dignity of choice, and I'm leaving a space on this canvas that only your free will can paint. Genesis 1 and 2 introduce us to the world as it was curated to be. A masterpiece of divine order, where humanity walked in the literal with a shared silhouette of their creator. But every truly profound story requires some type of conflict. The perimeters have been set. The canvas is live and the characters are poised. In our next episode, the lines get tangled, a rogue element enters the gallery, and humanity makes a choice that introduces a devastating fracture to the canvas. Join me next time for episode 2, the fall of the expulsion from Eden. God is trying to tell you something, and I hope you are listening.